As we enter Sunday's fantasy football week 11, there may be some players on your roster. You're deciding, should I pick somebody else up? We went through that already. But how about cutting some of these players? Hold or drop? It's time now to play a little game of that. And George, let's start off with one that unfortunately, I think is relatively easy here based on the comments of the offensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator, George, was asked about Deontay Johnson and the trade that they made to acquire him, and said basically, George, well, we're doing really well without him. It's hard to find playing time. Hello, goodbye. Deontay Johnson is a drop, man. Like, he's not going to play.
Boy, when Mike Tomlin was asked about him earlier this week, I love Mike Tomlin, by the way. I absolutely love his press conferences. Well, we haven't seen a lot of him on tape, so I'm not really worried about him. Oof, oof. That's pretty much backing up what the OC for Baltimore said, right? He's just not out there. He's not out there. What are you holding on to him for? Once again, I guess if you're 10-1, you're already in the playoffs. You can wait and see what happens. That maybe becomes a big part of the offense here. I don't see it. I just don't see it here. Certainly, if you need any kind of roster move, like I said, if you need to get a running back for this week and then you don't want to drop other players, he goes. All right. I don't know what you're hoping for here. He's not doing anything. It's tough to go to a team in season and think you're going to be that guy. I just don't see it. No, he's droppable.
All right, let's go to the New England Patriots. And Demario Douglas has had his moments this season, but enough moments to stay on a fantasy roster, George. 39 receptions, 356 yards, and 1 touchdown. I think Drake May has done a pretty good job, all things considered. And the Patriots now have more wins than some people thought they would win all season long. Is this a player that you want to hang on to?
I mean, you and I are agreeing too much here today. But that being said, what are we hoping for here? What are you hoping for? There's not much upside here. All right, yeah. I mean, and I do think Drake May's done pretty well. I think he'll be, at least a serviceable quarterback in the future. But you're not going to light it up with Drake May, right? They're not going to open up the offense here and throw the ball up and down the field. Their defense is good enough where they're not getting blown out of games. So no, like I said, I just don't see any upside here. It's nothing against him. He's out there, so he's getting us some opportunities here. But he's very droppable for me for somebody else. Once again, I just don't see any upside here. I think he's almost a dime a dozen guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the same. Demario Douglas, to me, I can't see playing him. I can't see holding him. So I'm gonna say goodbye. This is a really hard one, George, and a shocking one, honestly, because even in Keenan Allen's worst days with the Chargers, it didn't matter who the quarterback was, and he's had a lot over the course of his career. He was always playable. George, is at the end of the line for Keenan Allen. I mean, you can't even play DJ Moore on that team now, and they don't score. They don't score touchdowns. 26 receptions for Keenan Allen. He had that in like one game with the Chargers. 241 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gosh, like maybe what let's go back. I'm going to hold Keenan Allen, George, for one more week. I'm going to see what this offensive coordinator's got in store. But if not, this is the last week I'm holding.
The offense is a mess, right? Caleb has regressed. He has. I think this is a failure by the organization. I mean, we all thought last year, he was supposed to be fired, right? They'll bring in somebody to develop the quarterback. You didn't do that. You took Waldron, all right, the offensive coordinator who was awful last year with the Seahawks. All right, you took him to develop the quarterback, and now are you surprised now? I mean, how much do you set this kid back now? Because odds are this whole coaching staff is gone after this year, right? They'll all be fired. You're going to bring up another coaching staff with a different offensive system, which means next year is like Caleb's rookie year all over again. So I think Chicago has failed this kid all from day one here. They did give him weapons, right? You brought in Keenan Allen. You mentioned DJ Moore. The offensive line's terrible. That's another issue. He doesn't have a lot of time to throw there. I don't mind what you said there, but holding on to him for one more week because see what the offensive coordinator can do. You're playing Green Bay coming off a bye. Not seeing big things here. I'm just not. If I need the spot, I just don't see it. If I need the spot, he goes.
Keenan Allen, how the mighty have fallen. All right, here we go again. Remember last week we did it. That whole Leroy Jenkins bit didn't go off very well. Nobody knew what I was talking about there. That's okay. Dalton Schultz. I thought we dropped him last week. What are we going to double drop him, Sam? Come on. This guy's gone. He doesn't do anything ever. I think he had like his best game of the season last week because he had like a 25-yard catch. I would tell you right now, C.J. Stroud. Like, look, I like Stroud. I think Houston's good. Fine. They don't throw to him in the end zone. George, never. They never target this guy. He's a drop.
Once again, I thought we dropped him last week too. I think Jake Ferguson would have been the better name to put here.
We're going to do him next. We're going to do him next. You don't have access to the information I have.
Apparently not. It's secret. I don't have Schultz as a tight end one. I don't. I have him up there, Craig, with the guys like Will Dissly. Yeah, I have Mike Gesicki above him. I'd much rather start Gesicki. Fry is in this category as well here. No, he hasn't. I said one of my bigger disappointments. I thought he'd have a bigger year. It hasn't worked. Remember, Nico Collins coming back this week as well. Dallas is bad against the tight ends, so there is that. You know, and once again, it is I guess it's a revenge game sort of for Schultz. He left Dallas 2 seasons ago, so maybe you look at it that way. But no, we dropped him last week, and I'm dropping him this week as well.
All right. Well, what do you know? We have Jake Ferguson to do as a wrap up here. The tight end of the Dallas Cowboys. Wow. Touchdowns, 42 receptions. Let's see. It's been 11 weeks. He's averaging less than four receptions a game, less than 30 yards a game. This is a cut. It's a drop.
It's tougher because the game script tells you Dallas is going to be trailing, right? Multiple scores probably.
And they've been trailing every game. We just went over this. They do nothing.
Can't argue with that. All right. I already said the stat earlier. Dallas Cowboys haven't scored a touchdown at home in 2 months. That's amazing. A touchdown. Any kind of touchdown. None. Zero, zilch, nada, nil. It's not good. He's not a tight end one for me. I would start Monday night game covering the game, and I actually might watch that rather than the ESPN version with Aikman and Buck, only because at least I'll be a little entertained, with that with the Simpsons theme game, because Dallas, they're unwatchable right now. They have no offense. Their defense.
All right, enough. We know.
Turpin.
Cowboys stink. We did 10 minutes earlier in the show on the Cowboys. I feel like the light is blinding you here on this show today. Yes, I get it. They stink. Now,
I have a curtain.
We do have 2 more minutes to talk, so we can do anything else. But we're not going to do the Dallas Cowboys. Let me throw one more at you for this week, hold or drop, and I'm going to do it because he's back this week. George, call me crazy. T. Higgins of the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, I'm seeing some people cut him in my league last week.
I've got him in 4 leagues. 4.
Wow.
All right. I'm nervous. I'm not cutting him. I'm not cutting. The question is, do I start him or sit him? How much is he going to play?
I saw some cuts.
I'm not cutting him. He was good before he got hurt. He was scoring touchdowns. All right. I'm not cutting him. No, I can't. I don't have the heart to do that. I may not start him, depending on what else I have in my roster this week. But I'm starting over players like Michael Pittman, Christian Watson, really anybody on Green Bay. But the matchup's not great against the Chargers here. But I'm not cutting him, Craig. But he's a rough decision this week against receivers that are close to him in value.
All right, we'll hit on some quarterbacks next, including the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Cutting him already in Week 11? Right back.
Chris Cyborg, 39 years of age. Larissa Pacheco, only 30. Cyborg 2 inches taller. Equal measurement on the arm reach for these women. Slightly longer legs for Chris Cyborg. Touch of the gloves, and we are underway in our co-main event. Cauliflower.
I don't know, it might be beautiful.
What a level.
Big kick.
How did she take Pacheco just ate it.
Wow.
Measured and controlled in her breathing. Oh, nasty left hand snuck over the top for Cyborg. Pacheco, she will literally and figuratively smell blood in the water. Oh, there's a guillotine.
Another beautiful takedown, but she put herself right in harm's way. That is tight.
Good short elbow there.
Very nice.
Oh. Good overhand right there from Cyborg.
That was a solid right hand.
Eating some punches.
Watch the back of the head, Chris. Watch the back of the head. First deep breath I've seen Larissa take in this fight. Just about 10 seconds ago. Oh, nice takedown.
Rolls through onto an ankle, maybe. 15 seconds, and we're going to see some wildness. Yeah, of course
yes,
we are.
Both women landed there. They'll swing away to the final bell here.
9-46. I'll have it for the winner by unanimous decision. And now the PFL Superfights Women's Featherweight World Champion, Chris Cyborg.
The legend adds to her legacy. Chris Cyborg.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports today here on SportsGrid. Holder drop the quarterback position. And in a 2-quarterback league, this is really tough because Matthew Stafford is better than probably 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the NFL. George, 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, looked so tough on Monday night. You know, Stafford is that guy that, like, he's going to win a week for you, but he's not where he was in those Lions days many years ago where he was a 35, 40 touchdown, 4,000-yard guy. You know, Kyron Williams runs the ball a lot. Stafford's just been barely startable. 12-team league, I cut him. 14-team league, I cut him. 2-quarterback league, though, I think I'm hanging on.
Yeah, I don't think you have a choice in a 2-quarterback league. As every quarterback is valuable in a 2-quarterback league. I just picked up Mac Jones in a league. I don't want to start him. It makes me throw up in my mouth to think I might have to go there. But it's either start Mac Jones or start a wide receiver. You know, it's a decision I'm wrestling with in my home league. So it's like I said, quarterbacks are valuable. You're not releasing Stafford in that kind of league. 10-team league, gone. 12-team league, gone. 14-team league, I guess there's a chance you're keeping them, but it's a bad week, right? You're playing on New England, good defense there. I mean, what are you hoping for here? Who's your other quarterback? I mean, I gotta think you could do better here. He's been a disappointment, and I believed in Stafford, Craig. I thought with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, all right, he's going to have a good start, a good serviceable fantasy season. Hasn't happened. I thought he'd be a good, solid quarterback too, especially in 2-quarterback leagues. Hasn't gone on here. Yeah, I definitely lean drop as well.
All right, Caleb Williams, I think I'm going to keep just because they fired their offensive coordinator. I would just like to see if there's anything new to hope for. And he started off so promising, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 1,785 yards. I'm a hold on Caleb Williams, George. Of course, in a dynasty league, he's a major hold. 12-team, even 14, if he's my second guy and I have some buys coming up, you know, like Lamar Jackson's off or Daniels is off, I may want to play Caleb Williams. But if I don't see anything else this week, I'm going to let him go in a 12-team league.
I can make this real easy. I'd rather have Stafford. All right, I'd rather have Stafford. No, I'm not holding on to Caleb Williams. This whole thing is a disaster right now. I mean, Craig, think about it. One play has wrecked their season. Ever since that Hail Mary, everything's gone straight downhill for the Chicago Bears. They haven't scored a touchdown since. All right, you fired the offensive coordinator. You disciplined the cornerback, right, who was out there, joying with the Commander fans here. And you obviously haven't won a game since here. So that one play seems to just dismantle their season here. I do understand what you say about the new OC, and I am kind of curious as well here. But how much can he turn things around in 1 week? All right, you're playing Green Bay, a team coming up a bye, your big rival here. I think Caleb is going to be running for his life. That offensive line is putrid. Right? It is not good. It's not going to get any better this season either here. No, I'm not starting him. And at this point in the season, unless your other quarterback has a bye coming up where you need to hold on to him, I'm moving on. He's droppable for me.
All right, let's go to Geno Smith. He's the next one on the board here. Again, 2-quarterback league. Got to think about keeping him. But the picks have really crushed him like they did in the early days of when he was a quarterback in the NFL. They did sign him, I think, 3 years, $75 million for Geno Smith. So they're on the hook for him again next year. It's not to say that he is bad by any means. In fact, that he'd be the best backup quarterback, George, in the NFL by far. He's actually a pretty good starter. But my gosh, 10 picks. If you lose 2 points per pick and you're only getting 4 or 6 points for a scoring touchdown, 12-team league, George, he's a drop. 14-team league, George, he's a drop. 2-quarterback league, though, I think I'm hanging on. A 2-quarterback league.
Oh, once again, 2-quarterback league, you hang on to everybody. He's definitely hang on. The problem there is what you said. It's the picks. All right. Everything else has been pretty solid, but it's the picks. All right, he's Mahomes. It's Mahomes again. All right, it's tough to start when you're throwing those picks. You lose 2 points for a pick, you're getting crushed. You're just getting crushed here. I want to hold on to him. I do. They come up with a bye. Let's see what they can do. DK Metcalf comes back from injury this week. It's a tough matchup against San Fran, but San Fran's not the defense they used to be. So I am not letting him go. Of all the quarterbacks we talked about so far, which is Stafford, Caleb Williams, I would rather have Geno Smith. All right, so I'd rather have him starting for me. But he's been that guy. If you look at him in games, Craig, when he's on fire, hitting everybody. And then all of a sudden he makes a couple of bonehead rock plays. You're like, what the hell? What did you see there? It just drives you insane here. If you look, what I'm trying to tell you is I got him in a couple of leagues. And watching this has made me angry a couple of times here. But I want to hold on to him.
All right. Finally, let's go to the Titans backup running back situation. Tony Pollard has actually been really good this year, shockingly. But we're always trying to find who the backup is going to be for Tennessee. They've run through a few players. Tajay Spears was someone that we were told at the beginning of the season, this guy is going to catch 500 yards and rush for 500 and score 8 touchdowns. Look at these numbers. 161 rushing yards, 80 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. Tennessee's awful. Drop. You're not playing him in any fantasy league. And this is a running back with a pulse, and I'm still saying drop. I'm not playing him. I'm not holding him. I'll find like a fullback to play. This guy barely even plays.
I don't have much to add here. You're dropping him. There's nothing to doubt. I guess you could have claimed him earlier in the week when Pollard did have an injury designation, but that went away yesterday. He's going to play. Pollard's been very good. Very good. And you're right, though. Come draft time, we were told by Tennessee that it was going to be, I don't want to say an even split, but like 60-40, but Pollard's run away with the job. He's had a very good season there. Spears really hasn't done all that much. What are you hoping for here? At this point, you're hoping for an injury. That's the only way Spears really comes into play here. You can't start him hoping he gets a touchdown. He's not even a big guy or the goal line guy. So no, Spears is extremely droppable. You move on from Tajay.
Yeah, I think so. George, I don't think Dallas' season would have went any better with Pollard, but it is sort of stunning to see him so much better in Tennessee on a team that stinks, just like Dallas. It sort of makes no sense, but here we are. Hey, folks, you want to download the SportsGrid app, take out your phone and scan this QR code. You want more fantasy content, information, picks against the spread, and information about all of our shows here on SportsGrid. Download the SportsGrid app. It's available for iOS and Android. Make sure you get a hold of it now. Learn more about all of our content and all of our shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, coming up next, trade or fade. We're going to also hit on every game in the NFL when we return next. Also, a reminder, Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, bright and early, you can catch our buddies Joe Pizzapia and Matt Stryker. They got you covered for fantasy sports today every single Sunday morning, and they got you all the way up until Pro Football Today. So make sure you stick around for that show as well. George and I will be right back with more Fantasy Sports Today, Week 11 style. Don't go away.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, hey, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pitching your own sheep.
As I
Yeah,
was
that's what your
looking down
grandma
and did
does,
not
right?
know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas, you know?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back, Fantasy Sports Today. I'm George Kurtz. He's Craig Mish. We're talking trade or fade players right now, right? Guys we're either going to keep or try and get rid of here, or maybe just not start here. Our first player, New York Jets, and boy, are they a big topic of conversation, right? You're talking the two most disappointing teams in the NFL this year have got to be the Jets and the Cowboys. Right, bigger things were expected from both here, and neither one's going to reach anywhere near the pinnacle of the NFL here. I wonder if Adams, if he had to do it all over again, maybe he'd rather just still be with the Raiders. It really hasn't worked out with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets here. He dropped a touchdown last week, which once again cost me a week. Not the Adams drop, but Rodgers not getting the touchdown pass. So thanks. I needed that to win a week. Didn't happen there. The Jets are a mess. And theoretically, they should be better. They seem to have stars all over the place, right? You got Devontae Adams, you got Garrett Wilson, you got Breece Hall, whatever you think about Rodgers, but the offensive line is putrid. No Tyron Smith this week. He's out for the Jets here, so it's not getting any better. Not that Smith is all that great. He's been playing poorly anyway. What I'm trying to tell you is I don't trust him. I don't trust this whole offense here. Rodgers is not Rodgers anymore. He says he might come back next year. Good for you. But he's not the same guy anymore. I don't want to start him, so I'm fading him. As far as trading, listen, I don't think anybody's trading you for him, so good luck with that. I don't see anybody wanting him right now, but can't start him right now. I might want to still keep him on my roster just in case the Jets figure it out, but it's hard to like this guy. Our next guy, also a wide receiver. Another team struggling, but they're winning games while struggling, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. All right, now, Sam Darnold has not played well in weeks. I think he's quarterback 25 or something like that now over the last 6 weeks. So he's not getting you what you needed. You watched him last week against Jacksonville. It was bad. All right, putrid, ugly. I think he was intercepted 3 times while targeting Justin Jefferson. Now, Jordan Addison, listen, he's not going to be the number one guy, right? We know JJ's the number one guy. And then you got Aaron Jones going to get his shares of carries here. So Addison is somewhere after that. And his targets have probably been hurt by the return of TJ Hawkinson. But I'm not willing to give up on him yet. Not yet. Once again, he may not be startable. You know, you can't trade him for anything. He may not be startable. He's on that border flex guy for me. So I don't want to give up with him. I'm fading him as far as starting this week. I'm not fading him for the rest of the year. All right, so I do want to keep Addison with me. I'm an Addison guy. I've got him in a deep dynasty league. All right, so I have to start him in that league because, once again, it's a 16-team league, 40-man rosters. It's crazy. So I'll start him there because I don't have any other options here. I have several injuries. But other than that, no thanks this week, this year for this week. Like I said, I do like the guy, though. I don't want to give up on him. Not yet. Another wide receiver here. And, the question is trade or fade Christian Kirk of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The really question could be, do you want to have anybody on the Jacksonville Jaguars? Even if Trevor Lawrence was healthy. No, I'm out on Kirk. Way out on Kirk. I said I am out pretty much on everybody there. It's not working out. I think Kirk is on IR anyway, right? So he's done for the season as it is here. But if you're in a keeper league, let's just say I think Kirk would have been traded at the deadline if he didn't get hurt. I think he'd have been traded with one of those receivers that was going. Maybe he ends up with Pittsburgh or something like that. But if you're in a keeper league, dynasty league, I'd move on. I wouldn't release him, mind you, but I'd be looking to trade him in the offseason here. Trevor Lawrence is not the quarterback we thought he'd be. Right, he's kind of ugly there. He's got the shoulder injury now anyway, so Lord knows what he's going to do for the rest of the season, but he's not that quarterback. I don't think Kirk's that guy. He's more of a wide receiver 2, not a wide receiver 1. Maybe it'll work out in Jacksonville if Brian Thomas develops into that true wide receiver 1 where Kirk can clear out the safeties by running deep patterns here. You got Ingram over the middle. Thomas, your true wide receiver 1 with the intermediate routes, and then Kirk. I mean, theoretically, it should work. I just don't think it will. So, yeah, I am trading Kirk as fast as I can, and really in any kind of league I can possibly think of here. Our next guy, we're going back to the Vikings here. Aaron Jones, running back. Now, Craig and I say the same thing all the time. Running back with a pulse. All right, you're keeping him. Jones has more than a pulse. All right. That being said, he does seem to get banged up in so many games. Depending on what your running back room looks like or what you're getting back, I would look to trade him because I think sooner or later he's going to get hurt again. I think Minnesota is sort of playing down to their competition. That's more on Sam Darnold. But if Sam Darnold doesn't pick it up, teams are going to be looking to take away Aaron Jones. Those safeties start to creep closer to the line of scrimmage here. You're not playing cover 2 anymore. You're playing, a little more regular defense here to stop that running game. So I am willing to trade Aaron Jones. Not for anything. I'm not looking to get rid of him. But if I get a decent return I like back, yeah, I'm willing to trade Aaron Jones here. That being said, if you can't, you're starting him. They play Tennessee this week. Theoretically, it's a good matchup. You think he can get to the end zone here. So like I said, I am not dumping Jones for nothing. But I like to see what's out there to see if somebody else may have a little bit more value in him than I do. So that's been the trade or fade segment here. Craig and I will be back after this fantasy sports today. We are with you here every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma will do to you when he goes here on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. It's time now for our illustrious Week 11 fantasy football preview. George and I going game by game, player by player, and we're going to help you with who to start, who to sit in each individual game. Let's start off with a game that we hope is not a blowout because we don't like blowouts in the NFL, George, but this one has the makings of it. The Jaguars at the Lions. All hands on deck, your Lions. Boy, they are going to be mad after last week, just barely eking out that win against Houston. Do we really need to go through the starters? It is Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. It is Gibbs. It is Montgomery. Of course, it is Laporta. I guess we just have to figure out, George, is there a starter on the Jaguars in fantasy football this week? Just one.
Keep an eye on Laporta. Let's make sure he plays here. Right, he's questionable with the shoulder, but he didn't practice yesterday, so they might play it cautious there. Just keep an eye in mind about that. Laporta might be somebody you might want to find somebody else. I guess not Ferguson or Schultz though, as far as that's concerned. Gesicki could be a guy for you. The only player on Jacksonville I can think about starting here, I guess Etienne, once again, running back. All right, Pulse, you go with it. Would be Ingram. I think once he'll get the volume. I think he'll get double digits. Whether he get a touchdown or not, that's a complete guess here. But Ingram and Etienne, the ease would be the only two guys I can think about starting on Jacksonville.
I think the Jaguars right now may be the least starters. I mean, at least you have Carolina, you have Chuba Hubbard. You know you're starting him. Jacksonville, you basically have no one. All right, Raiders at the Dolphins this week. The Raiders are going to go with Gardner Minshew. I mean, I don't know if that's good news, bad news, or ugly news, to be honest. Dolphins starters are very easy to pick, although they've done nothing, even with Tua back. It's really bizarre. But Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, Devon A-Chain, Tua, I suppose. Jonnu Smith has really come on. George, what about the Raiders? Who are you going to play on the Raiders? Jacoby Myers has to be a play. Madison? Are you going to start Madison? Bowers, I guess. Raiders are pretty thin.
Bowers is a definite start, right? He's a tight end one. He's a start here. He's the only definite start. Once again, Madison sort of goes in the same category as an Etienne. He's a running back, starting running back. You're probably starting him. Maybe you can do better. You probably can't. Myers, I'd rather not. Craig. So you'd have to be pretty desperate to go with Myers here. That being said, the game script in Miami, they could be trailing. There could be opportunities here. But it could be Desmond Ridder at some point in this game.
That's true.
That doesn't fill you with much confidence here. No confidence at all here. So as for Miami, you normal guys go, though. I don't know what you're going to get from Tyreek Hill. The wrist is bad. It's not bad. He needs surgery. I know he needs surgery. It was hurt here. I mean, he's all over the place, but I can't sit him.
No, you got to play him. All right, Rams, Patriots. I think, George, the Rams are going to bounce back this week. I don't know why. In watching that game, I felt like they left a lot of points on the table. So I am going to go back to Nakua and Kupp and Kyron Williams, maybe Stafford. I think all those guys are playable. New England, is there anyone outside of Ramondre Stevenson that you would start this week?
No. Although if I would listen, if I had trusting Drake May and Mac Jones, I'd start Drake May in a 2-quarterback league. So there's that. But no, there's nobody I want in New England other than, and I don't even want Stevenson. I just think you have to here. Nakua, Kupp, Kyron Williams, they all go for the Rams.
All right, the Cleveland Browns, we don't know which edition or version we're going to get this week of them. Maybe not of the Saints, too. Saints showed up to play last week against the Atlanta Falcons. So naturally for Cleveland, I mean, Nick Chubb's return has not been all that illustrious. For the Saints, you have Alvin Kamara, who dropped a key pass last week, but still probably the most viable starter there. David Njoku, we talked about Valdez-Scantling a little bit. Oof, I don't know. Over under 4.5 starting players from these two teams in fantasy this week. Going over or under that?
God, I forgot about the Kamara drop. Unbelievable. That was a 60-yard touchdown. That cost me a league. Thanks for bringing that up, Greg. I really appreciate that. This is a Jameis Winston revenge game, right? Former Saint there, so you can look at it that way. Listen, we look for any edge. I'm not starting Winston. I'm not starting Jerry Jeudy. The Njoku's a possibility. Probably almost a definite there with Winston. He will get the ball in Njoku there. So I'll go with the Njoku here. Chubb is a problem. He's been playing better. Doesn't mean he's been playing well or even good, but he's been playing better than when he first started. It's a work in progress here. So once again, of all the running backs we named, Etienne, I'd rather have Etienne over him. The other running back we talked about, I'd rather have him over him as well. I can't remember the name right now. I think it was another E. So Chubb would be below those guys, but I think he might get in the end zone this week against New Orleans.
All right, Colts and Jets. We have the battle here for who's been playing worse. Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Colts, I think it's fair to say, outside of Jonathan Taylor, Sam, our producer, is telling us Anthony Richardson. I'm not starting him. Jets, Aaron Rodgers is a no. I guess Breece Hall 100%. Can you make a case for starting anyone else on the Jets just because they have good names? Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams is dealing with an illness, right? If he doesn't play, then I'm definitely starting Wilson. All right. I would like that a lot, by the way, if he doesn't go. But he's questionable, so we'll see how that goes here. Wilson, I'm probably starting Wilson anyway. I think the Jets could do some damage this game. Starting Breece Hall, no choice. I'm definitely starting Hall and Taylor and Wilson. I'll start the stars. After that, We'll see what it is. I'm probably not going to go with Adams. It's the fact that he has that illness is a great excuse for me not to go with him and go with somebody else.
Ravens and Steelers in a game that's going to be decided by 3 points with no time left. It's the same game every year. Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, easy starters there for me. For Pittsburgh, I guess the offense has looked better. George, would you play Mike Williams after his game last week?
No. Well, I shouldn't say a flat no, because once again, it is Baltimore. They can't cover. And Wilson, what does he do well? What do I keep telling you he does well? The alley-oop balls, right? He's going to take his shots. And that's what Williams does well as also, right? He goes up and catches those balls. So he'll have his opportunities. But once again, I don't think it'll be heavy volume. The question is, can he catch a deep ball or two and get in the end zone? So that's the interest there. I would start Pickens. He goes with me. Wilson and him seem to have great chemistry together there. Starting Najee Harris. Freiermuth. I'd probably start Freiermuth over Ferguson, Schultz, and those guys. Don't know if I'm thrilled about him being a tight end one. I am starting Mark Andrews, although he's somewhat touchdown deodorant, but he's getting those touchdowns. He's getting those looks here. But I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a 31-30 game. It's going to be more of a controlled game, 24-21, somewhere around there. But I'm starting Andrews as well, along with the other Baltimore Ravens that you mentioned.
All right, Falcons and Broncos. Atlanta laid a dud last week. Broncos same on offense. Been kind of dicey, by the way, for both these teams. Hard to figure out who will win this game, by the way. Tough one to call. Bijan Robinson is a plug and play. Obviously beyond that, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. For Denver, Sutton has become almost a must-play every week. I would say Bo Nix probably is like on the borderline as a QB1. What do you feel about this game?
I think you said it is right. I would add Mooney. I'm starting Mooney for Atlanta as well. He was taken off the injury report yesterday, so he's good to go here. He's been valuable. London, who had the hip pointer, he looks good, so you're starting him. I don't expect big things, though. All right, I don't expect big things in this game. Atlanta's had some problems scoring here. Right, I know Koo missed a whole bunch of field goals last week, cost them the game here. Denver has a good defense. We know it can be tough playing in altitude. So I would calm down your Falcons here as far as what you expect as far as points-wise here. I'm not even sure they win this game, by the way. I think Denver is right here to win this game. As far as the next, I mean, you're looking at a quarterback who's probably in that 8 to 14 range. So it depends on what else you have there. But I'm not afraid of starting him. Very athletic. You're going to get points on the ground from him because he's going to run. He's not afraid to use his legs here against Atlanta.
Seahawks and San Francisco 49ers. This is an easy game. You play McCaffrey, you play your Niners, you play your Seahawks. It's supposed to be a high-scoring game. George, Chiefs and Bills. Let's move quickly to this game. Another all-hands-on-deck game. And then, by the way, Bengals-Chargers, the last game on the... We may have all hands on deck for the final 3 games of the week here.
Yeah, the only question, the Bengals against T. Higgins again, right? We're going to go with him. I am. He's good. They say he's fine. He's got normal complement of snaps here. He's good to go. Quentin Johnson, gamble. It's a gamble here, but Cincinnati can't cover anybody. I think I'm willing to take that gamble too.
Yeah, I do too. The Bengals score a lot and give up a lot of points. All right, coming up next, it's time for a little buy or sell in daily fantasy, and then we wrap it all up with the SportsGrid 60. You're watching Fantasy Sports Today. We'll be right back.
Sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Graham grandma bear who owns the football team probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was
that's what your
looking down
grandma
and did
does,
not
right?
know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Time to play a little buy or sell here on Fantasy Sports. Today, we'll go over a lot of the pricing over on DraftKings this week. Are you a buyer? Are you a seller? Let's play. All right, welcome back. Let's hit on a quarterback in the NFL. My gosh. What happened to Sam Darnold? What happened, George? Sam Darnold was going so good for a long time. I mean, they're still winning games in spite of this guy. Last week I was on, I think I was on social media at the time. People were like, oh, maybe time, Sam Darnold, that's the end. I mean, George, I'm here to tell you, if the Vikings defense was not as good as it is, I think that they would bench him already. He's 6,100 this week. This is like a sell for me, man. Are there 5 worse quarterbacks in fantasy to play this week? Like, I am playing Drake May over him. I am going to take a shot with Caleb Williams over him. I am not playing Sam Darnold until I see him return to week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sam Darnold.
And I don't know if he will until next year when he's with a new team in weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because that's what he does. He's very good in the beginning of the year, then he trails off. He's also very good during the scripted plays. If you watch these Minnesota games, those scripted plays, the first 15 plays of the game where he's been practicing them all week, he's very good at them. And then the rest of the game, he struggles. And he's also making Justin Jefferson struggle. So that's annoying as well. Now, he's an easy sell here. There's no way, unless you just want to be contrarian and hope this is the go, because no one's going to start him this week, that he's going to have the big game. It's against Tennessee, but it's in Tennessee. And you said Jacksonville, by the way, is horrendous on defense, especially their secondary. Yet he couldn't do anything last week. Tennessee, they may not be the 86 Bears, but they're a better defense here. It's at home in Tennessee. No, I'm not starting Sam Darnold. I can't do it. I need to see something from him for me first. I don't want to start in one quarterback leagues, more or less in the contest.
Yeah, the same could be said, I'm sorry, for Javonte Williams. The hope. I mean, Javonte Williams did have his one moment in the sun. Was it a Thursday night game this year where he scored 2 touchdowns? 5,700 this week on DraftKings. Like, give me Ramondre Stevenson. Give me Kareem Hunt. I'm selling this. I'm just selling this. By the way, I think Atlanta's going to beat Denver. Just want to say that here on the show. I think Atlanta's going to win this game.
I think Denver's going to win, by the way. But I wouldn't bet on it, by the way. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a close game. I like the way the Falcons are playing. I just don't. That being said, as far as the Denver running situation, do we have a 3-headed monster there? Are we going with the committee guy, the hot guy? No, I'm staying away from all of these guys. This is another sell for me here. I think Javonte was okay in the beginning of the season, where maybe he could have taken the job in Randy, but he just hasn't done all that much with it here. I do wonder if they're going to give my Estamai, SDU, if they're going to give Audric a chance to run with it. That's why and I told you that league, it's either I'm going to either take Audric or Algier. I'm probably leaning towards Audric only for the higher upside, because I do wonder if he could be that guy this week where he's going to be the number 1 running back. We'll get number 1 chances. We'll see what he does with it here. But Javonte, no thanks. I'm selling. I'm not starting him.
All right, now here's one that I may buy. It's Xavier Worthy of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm hoping that this is 31-28 type game that goes over. I think a lot more attention is going to go on DeAndre Hopkins now that he's been with the team here for a week. Worthy is 5,600 on DraftKings this week. I'm a buyer. I'm buying on Worthy thinking that maybe a touchdown is coming here. And I think that Hopkins' presence is going to help him.
Worthy is a lot like Mike Williams, right? We know Mahomes is going to take his deep shots to him. They should have had a touchdown last week. He was wide open. Holmes threw the ball out of bounds. But Worthy's also had some other touchdowns this year where, he's not in full control of his body. He doesn't know how to stay in bounds in some of these catches either. So I like Worthy a lot. I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL. He is a home run hitter. He's not a volume guy. So you got to keep that in mind here. We know Kelsey's going to get the volume. DeAndre Hopkins is going to get more and more. And by the way, Hopkins is only $100 more, which if you want to play a safer play, I might rather go with Hopkins there. But you're looking for the big play or big plays here from Worthy. I don't mind it. I'm a sell. I'm not going to do it only because I think a receiver is deep here. I can save money and take a Jacoby Myers. Well, actually, not save. He's the same price here if I want to go that way. But a player I would like that I could save a couple $100 on would be Cedric Tillman. I think they're going to score some points, Cleveland, against New Orleans. I'm going to save me $300 for a guy who's really meshed nicely with Jameis Winston. That's somebody I would look at there before I go to the home run hitter and Xavier Worthy.
All right, let's go to the Steelers. Boy, tight ends this year has been pretty much a bust again. Pat Freiermuth did get in the end zone for the Steelers last week. I feel like playing any tight end that scored the week before just to hope it can happen 2 weeks in a row. He's 4,200 for Pittsburgh in this matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. George, are you buying or selling Freiermuth this week?
The only way I would buy Freiermuth, once again, you're playing Baltimore, so we do expect the opportunities to be there, right? Somewhat of a high-scoring game. So I understand why you're interested in Freiermuth here. But, once again, Cole Kmet, I know he hasn't done much lately, but he's only 4,100. I'm not going Isaiah Likely. Hunter Henry, 3,900. I think I might rather have him, right? He's done some damage of late. I get to save 300. Janu Smith, 3,800. Also done some damage of late. I understand Janu Smith in the Monday night game, other than that one big play, wasn't really involved here. But the one big play was a big play. And he almost got to the end zone there. They are using him more for whatever reason. All of a sudden, they use him a tight end in the McDaniels offense, which they never did before. So I think money-wise, I'm just going to see myself wanting to save money, Craig, here, and not spend the 42 on Friday. But I said I can save $100, $200, or $300 by going with another tight end that I like just as much, or maybe even more than Freiermuth.
Yeah, I'm going opposite here. I'm going to buy. Like I said, I'm going to go with tight end luck. See if I can let the trend be my friend, and pay $4,200 for Pat Freiermuth this week. But I think, George, in a week like this week, going back to the tight end position, do you think any tight end will be owned more than Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean, in a matchup like this, you would imagine he'll be heavily owned this week.
Kelce looks great again, right? He looks like that. He looks like Kelce. He looks like the Hall of Famer. He's looking for him all over the place. I mentioned Kelce should have had a bigger game last week. The same Mahomes missed a wide open Kelce in the end zone is not doing it justice. I mean, he was wide open. I'm shocked that Mahomes missed him. I guess you could say George Kittle, right? If you want to say the best tight end this week, I think George Kittle has played very well. He should have a nice week as well. So Kittle could be up there as well. So I think it's going to go Kelce, Kittle, Bowers, just like the pricing is here on DraftKings. Those will be your top 3 tight ends this week.
All right, there you go. There's our pricing. Coming up next, time for the SportsGrid 60. Also get into the renaissance of one player in the NFL, a wide receiver. We'll have that for you next.
Sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was
that's what your
looking down
grandma
and did
does,
not
right?
know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Tony Bennett stepping down and resigning from Virginia right before the season started versus the Villanova team that, folks, I gotta take my glasses off. I can't figure this team out. I can't figure this team out for 2 damn years. And the problem that keeps coming up is the coaching of Kyle Neptune.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. Hey, the Chicago Bears could use some offensive help, couldn't they? Well, they could have just kept Darnell Mooney. He leads the NFL. He has 16 catches of 20-plus yards this season. It's the most in the league, George. What were they thinking? They got rid of him. They got Keenan Allen. They got DJ Moore. I don't know. Seems a little lucky to me. I think Mooney just found a good home.
I think you're right, by the way. Different offenses, different kind of quarterback there. He's gotten more opportunities with London being banged up and Pitts doing nothing earlier in the season. When I think of the Chicago Bears, Craig, I sort of give them I do give them points. You brought in DeAndre Swift, had a nice season. You brought in DJ Moore. You brought in Keenan Allen. You did try to give Caleb Williams some weapons here. Now your offensive line is putrid. All right, that needs to be fixed, but you can't fix everything in one off season here. My issue is more with the head coach and the offensive coordinator, and it's just going to be a shame that they're going to fire everybody, and now Williams has to pretty much start from kindergarten again next year as far as the NFL is concerned. It's going to be another long season, I think, next year too for the Chicago Bears.
Agreed. Also a long season for the Giants continuing. They're off this week. Drew Lock probably going to start next week. We don't know officially, but Daniel Jones, certainly the end of the line has come here. Fewest passing touchdowns by a quarterback to start in each of their first 10 games. Take a look at this. Daniel Jones, second least ever, tying himself twice and just beat himself in 22-21. My gosh. George, Daniel Jones, not just unfortunately, sadly, an epic bust, but an epic bust who got a lot of chances to prove himself a lot.
He did. The Giants can't say they didn't give him a shot, right? Unfortunately for the Giants, he had his best year in a contract year. Funny how that works out. They gave him the big contract here. I would be surprised if he starts next week. All right, your season's down the tubes, and you probably don't want to. Not that he can win you games. You don't want to win games now anyway. You want to get that top pick. Maybe you get Shedeur Sanders. Maybe you get Cam Ward. Whoever the top quarterback is in college, you need another one here. He has a $23 million guarantee, so that's the reason why he wouldn't start. This way, you don't have to worry about paying that next year. You can move on, and the Giants do need to move on here. I got to tell you, Craig, New York. I think the Giants are going to have a regime change, and the Jets are going to have a regime change. It's going to be a lot of fun here in the offseason to see who's going to coach both teams and be the GM of both teams.
We're going to switch it up today. We're going to do the Sports Grid 60. I'm going to lead off. George is going to wrap up the show. Let's go. All right, they're calling it the game of the year in the NFL, but quite frankly, the game of the year in the NFL has to be a game that's like 38-37. There's got to be a bomb, like a Hail Mary at the end of the game. I don't know what we're in store for this week with the Chiefs and Bills. But folks, historically speaking, these have been the best games in the league when these two teams play. I know the Ravens, Steelers, they play this week. There's some other games too that could be high scoring. But the NFL has really delivered on some of their bigger games in the past. And I would probably say that these are the two best teams in the NFL in Kansas City and Buffalo. I mean, the Bills have really played like that this year. So I don't know who's going to win the game, George, but I certainly hope that on the Sports Grid 60, my prediction comes through which is it may not be the best game in the NFL this season, but a lot of points are coming on Sunday.
I think it's going to be a really good game tomorrow. I do. And, we know a couple of our guys, Gabe Morency and Mike Carver, Buffalo Bill fans, will be watching here. We heard earlier this week, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell state that he sees that within the next 5 years, we will have an 18-game regular season. I'm the first person to tell you, the NFL doesn't care about player safety. All right, they don't, or else the schedule will be completely different how they do things. They kill the players. That being said, yeah, as a fan of the NFL, I want an 18-game regular season. All right, for several reasons here. It's just 9 games on the road, 9 games at home. It's just more aesthetically pleasing here. I also like the idea of the games going deeper into February because unlike Craig Mish, I live in New York. It's cold, all right? So let's kill as much as February as we possibly can before we get the baseball season here. The Super Bowl should be played on President's Day weekend so that we're off the next, or at least the majority of the fans are off on Monday here. I would like that a lot. So I think that will happen here. I think they should give a second bye week to teams. 1 bye week in the first half, 1 bye week in the second half. This won't placate all the players. They're going to complain about this, but they'll also get paid more money. But like I said, there's no doubt it's not good for the health of players. Hell, 17 wasn't good for them. Hell, 16 is probably not. All right, so that's it. This is Fantasy Sports Today. He was Craig Mish. I'm George Kurtz. You join more of my shenanigans. I'll be on In-Game Live tomorrow night from 8 p.m. to 11, or 11 till after the game with Dane Martinez. Coming up next is College Football Today with Kevin Walsh, the Philadelphia Eagles fan, Donnie Rightside, and Mr. Gutless himself, Joe Lisi. Fantasy Sports Today. He was Craig Mish. I'm George Kurtz. We'll see you next Saturday at 7 a.m.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, hey, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. Pinching your own cheek? As I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.